Hey, Jackie. My favorite time. My favorite time of the day. Ooh, this is my favorite time. Father, we thank you for your word today. We thank you for an opportunity to come before you to get an understanding, something that has been lost off the books, but it's been in the book, but we have just not turned the pages to see exactly what you said so that we can line our lives up with your word. It's an exciting time. It's always an exciting time to be corrected, to be in a place where the teacher cared enough to stick with me long enough to say, I want you to stay in my class until you get it. And I'm so happy that you let me live long enough to see the beauty of your word so that when you do come, I recognize you. Had I not known this word, I would not have recognized you. I would have been just like the children, the Jews. Had they known the word, they would have recognized you. And I thank you this morning for allowing me to be at my age, to know how to gather what I missed and go back over it and study it again to find out this is as easy as you said it was. And I thank you for your wisdom and your time. And I want to be obedient to your word. And I love this word. What an awesome time in my life. To spend my years of after working 33 years, that I get a chance to just sit every day because I want to get to know who is this God that I say that I know. Thank you for always believing in me. And thank you for me giving it the best shot I know how in this world. I'm doing what I love doing, and that's spending time with you. And I'm just sharing the world with our relationship. And Father, thank you for your complete plan. Thank you for Jesus sitting down and teaching us how to act, how to have good customer service. And thank you for forgiving me because I need it. Oh, you already know that. Man, show me how to forgive others. I want to be like you. I'm standing in this word until I get this thing right. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. All right, today I'm going into 1 King, the 3rd chapter. I don't know what time I got up this morning, but I got up early this morning. And I got a lot of colors today. Anyway, maybe not a lot, but more than I thought I needed. Anyway, it's not about me. But what I got up this morning now, just my friend and I, we stay online and we look at the word every night to just check it and make sure that we see. We try to watch every comma. We try to watch every sentence structure and everything. And I don't want to get so familiar with the word that I just assume that I don't have to pay attention. I want to pay attention. I don't care if I've read this particular passage before, but there's just so many beautiful things that God has allowed me to see. All right, yesterday in First King, that was a long lesson that had 46 verses, but it wasn't so much that it was long, but the subject was that God was trying to establish a business. And in that, Solomon is now getting rid of the dead weight, the extra behaviors that his dad had dealt with. And he said, I got to get rid of this, so I got to make sure that you understand why I'm cutting you. I didn't cut everybody. In fact, I gave everybody ample time to change, but they didn't want to change, so I got to cut you. I'm not going to drag a business just because you got some on me. You ain't got nothing on me, said Solomon. You got nothing on God. God said, I don't have to drag you along. What you going to accuse me of? And a lot of time we put up with stuff because somebody knows something about us. We don't want them to know. God said, expose everything. And Solomon said, you ain't got nothing on me, and if you did, I told God first. So, and then he had to set in order people of age. And I got a song that I wish I could sing, but I'm not going to waste that time because I want people to hear the word more so than what makes me, me. But that song said, if you ain't talking about Jesus, you ain't talking about nothing. You ain't talking about nothing. You don't talk about Jesus, you're going to talk about people. If you want to talk. And it need to be in line with his word. So Solomon was like, I got to let y'all, I'm young. But my daddy told me well about y'all. Y'all ain't talking about nothing. And I can't carry you to this new business that I'm getting ready to get started. I'm trying to start right. But I got somebody here that'll cut you. Just in case you think I can't cut you. Think you're too young to be telling us all this. So Solomon said, yep, that's why God sent me Dr. B. I ain't going to give him no name like that because we get crazy with titles. We think titles put us in a position where we can look down on people. What's that boy name? That man name is, go get him. And he wasn't, God is not trying to get us. Don't get me wrong. Benaiah, he's not trying to get us. That's not his whole plan, but it's part of the process. That I got to have something in order to set the house straight. It's got to be, the floor got to be able to handle the weight. And the weight, I want it heavy. I want a lot of people in here. I want the floor to be able to hold them. So if you carrying on, and if you know anybody, because I'm over 50. I'm 60, how old am I? 61. And I've seen the scale tip. Now in my 40s, I had a look at 60s, and I thought, that was old. It is older than 40. But I thought the behavior of a 60-year-old was just kind of funny when it wasn't right. It ain't funny. It is annoying. To sit up and talk to somebody been on this earth 60 years and you ain't talking about nothing. You ain't talking about nothing. What a conversation to have with a person that's been on earth 60 years. You ought to be so full of the wisdom until people ought to be flocking and try to get your wisdom. But I didn't know. But now that I'm getting older, and then the stuff that's going to indict us is stuff that we post. We're posting a lot of things that shows who we really are, what we think about, where our treasures are. And you don't have to be like me. I'm not trying to get everybody to be like me. I'm me because, number one, I retired. And I'm an investigator. When I see something that I've done wrong, I'm going back over it. I'm going like, what have I done with my life? I didn't know this. I just carried it, and I talked about it, and I sang, and I danced, and I shouted. And I went with people that looked like me, and we clapped, and we loved each other now, don't get me wrong, as far as we knew how. But when it came talking about the wisdom of God, we lacked it, because I know I did. I lacked it. I never would have made some of the choices I made had I known this book was structured so that it could. I called it, I don't know if I called it the Book of Life. I do now. But anyway, Solomon took the unnecessary weight off the floor so that God can bring people in that's supposed to be here. So we don't want to get to a point that we get to an age where we feel like, or we get a status, or we get a position, because God fired a pastor yesterday from the word. Now, I'm not talking about yet, because he's going to do that in 2021 too. If I can't fire you, then I can't use you. And, I'm trying to keep you alive. Like God gave me, he said, you don't have to, well, Saul tried to be the Big Mac. God said, nope, you go be a French fry. And be thankful that you are still on the menu. David is now the Big Mac, if we're going to look at it like that. And I try to bring it down so you can understand it. That's the only reason why I do that. And it's a part of my personality. Actually, kids at school. I've been around kids all my life. Been teaching kids 33. You can't go in there to my, okay, boys and girls, we're going to do, you can't do it. You got to become alive in a classroom. And I'm still got those vibes like that. And I know and I accept the fact that everybody don't like coconut. Some people just like plain chocolate. So everybody can't handle all this that me Bruno doing. But that's okay. God, that's why God got different people. That's why he got a lot of people. But anybody that like life and fun and happy, and at the same time you might see he might get us. Because it's not about me saying to you, me and you reading this together. I know he got me. Yesterday, I ate one piece of sweet. Let me see. I think I had a graham cracker added with that, but I love some sweets. I love sweets more than I like stuff. But God was like yesterday when Shimei, when he told him, said, look, I was reading the word, but thing was letting me know, okay, remember what you said. Now, I know I've been doing better now. Don't get me wrong. I just struggle with, I'm talking about my personal weight. I get to a size and I just, when you always been kind of thick, it's kind of hard to know what it's like to feel thin. Because you'll get to a size and then everybody just be, girl, come on, let's go out here. Okay, girl, I'm coming with you. Next thing I know, I forget. Oh, I ain't supposed to be eating it. But anyway, it's not that I don't eat certain things. It's just that Shimei God kept trying to get him disciplined on a steady path. And then when he left that place that Solomon said, now you stay up in there now, because we've been working with you a long time. Don't leave it. And then he saw it necessary because he said, now I got a good reason to go. God said, no, you don't. There's never a good reason to disobey me. And he said, Brenda, I've been dealing with you. And he has. I remember one time, say this, I got to get in the word. I took myself off sweets for so long until God, one day I was driving, I saw what crispy it was on, Dunkin' Donut. And I felt the peace of God to go to that store and get me a donut. God said, I'm not trying to get you to be absent from it. I just want you to understand you need moderation. Have a donut. I was like, I ain't gonna eat, because I don't like to say, I ain't gonna eat no more sweets. And then God is saying, no, don't stretch it like that. Just be mindful that you just can't eat it all the time. So anyway, I don't want to, when I saw Shimei, I saw myself and I was like, let me get this straight. All right, so yesterday the kingdom of Solomon sets the tone. He brings in, this is how we're going to do things. And it worked. And God supported him. And let's get into chapter 3. Now, there is a name that God calls Solomon that I don't never hear anybody talk about. His name is Jedediah. And that's God. I don't know if that's God's nickname for him, but it's written, I know one time in the word that I saw it when we were talking about when he told David after Bathsheba and David got right with God. Uriah's dead. It's amazing how God does things. I mean, it's amazing that David saw this woman bathing, and she was not a Jewish woman. She was married to a Hittite. As far as I know, she was not Jewish. I know her husband was a Hittite, Uriah the Hittite, and those were the enemies of God. But some kind of way he was working with the on the side of on the Israelites. He's working with them, and some of the people that David captured in war, after they saw David, they started giving David gifts because they said, you actually a good man. It's like a Saddam Hussein song who might hire a person that's born again and they really good. He said, y'all really some good people. Not necessarily were they drawn under there because they still label themselves a Hittite, but they said, y'all really some really cool people. But it's amazing that God uses people who have done wrong. that means he uses us. And he just basically just telling you the wrong that they did. It was something that normal people, we don't do. That's not a norm for us. If we're a stripper, we ain't gonna let you know that unless you in the club. We gonna sing in the choir. But God said, no, the people I use, I'm gonna put them on display so y'all can understand that you don't have nothing to hide. I don't want you to act like that. I just want you to change. So you got David taking another man's wife, kill a man, and then marry the wife. And then they get a son, and we talking about him. That's amazing. That's why God said, I don't play church stuff. I don't play hypocrisy. I don't play religion. Because religion tells you man-made material and then try to mix it up with real God. God said, don't do that. When you're keeping it real, because Jesus had this word full of stuff. This is the talk right here. This is where if you really want it, you won't be gossiping. You talk about stuff that God said, I use people, and y'all are subject to do anything. And that's why I want you to come from it. Not that I want you to be like these people. I want you to learn from them and not be like them. That's why I left them open for you to discover. So we can stop playing games. And I want y'all to come on so I can see y'all play basketball, because I want to hear Jesus play the piano. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get a chance, because Jesus already told him disciple, don't get up there trying to tell me I want to sit here. He's called, my Father got everything arranged. So I'm going to say, I ain't like people say, when I get to heaven, I'm going to be so glad that you know. God said, no, you ain't finna come over here and take over. I got order. Because them women, that mama would tell me, my boys want to sit right beside Jesus. It's not mine to give. That's my father. My father got everything organized. And I'm telling you, Daddy is organized. He can't stand foolishness. Anyway, all right, let's get into the 3rd chapter of God. Let us see everything. Let us see everything that we have been ignoring. And you just been sitting there just waiting for somebody to say, look. All right, let's follow the Father into the word of, according to 1 Kings chapter 3. I wrote down all my people in this book, and the main person that's going to talk in here, who we're going to be talking about today, girl? We're going to be talking about a guy named, position named Pharaoh, and he had a daughter, and we're going to be talking about Solomon. Watch that. And we're going to be talking about 2 prostitutes, harlots, hookers. We're talking about them today. That's the word that God talking. All right. And Solomon made friends or affinity with Pharaoh. Hey, Pharaoh, what's up? Man, ain't nothing going over. How the weather over there? It's all good over here. That's how they start off. The word said that. And Solomon made affinity, means they made friends. They had a relationship with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Interesting. Now, this is where God brought the children out of. Now, he raises up a young man named Solomon who kicked it with a man from Egypt. Now, God's real purpose was to bring you out so he can make so we know how to make the right connection. So, everybody he bring you out from, he's bringing you out so you could be a better person, so that if you go back in, you can reflect him. But let's just stay with the word on this, because that's God's ultimate. Because when Jesus came, he broke from the Egyptians and the Hittites and the Amorites, and all of those don't matter. He said, all y'all brothers. Ain't nobody got no rank. I knocked down all of the birth certificates when I tore that temple down. So y'all won't be talking about I'm some kin to him and I'm some kin to him. He's all y'all brothers. And if we get in his word, we're going to stop the impossible teaching, or we're going to dismiss all. I can't even see nobody having a church, especially in my white brothers. It's impossible to have a white church. Not if you read the word. Now, black people, I already know we'll let anybody in. That's just from where I've been. We're not prejudiced about that. We might be a little, kind of watching you a little bit, but we don't keep people out. Not as a rule. That's just not our nature. But anybody that's got an all-white church and you teaching, you ain't teaching the word. Unless you just happen to be an all-white area, but you can't teach the word and keep people out. It's almost like the word is like water. Everybody needs it. And if you teach this word right, it breaks that yoke of color. It won't, you can't do it. There's no status with God. That's if you teach it right. And that's another whole different chapter. But anyway, Solomon made affinity or made friends or hung out with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And watch God. Now you're going to keep your eyes on God. But watch Solomon, but keep your eyes on God. Did he say anything about that? Mm-mm. But watch it now. And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall of Jerusalem round about. So he saw this girl to be, that's your daughter. Mm-hmm. Kind of cute. I know, watching you something. I got you. I say that's your daughter. Now the king might have been a little older than Solomon because Solomon is liking his daughter. I don't guess she. Who knows? She was 13 or 9. I don't know. But anyway, Solomon liked the young lady. I ain't gonna say little girl. He liked her, man. He made her his wife. And I was told, it's not word, that when two like, let's say for instance, if you marry somebody from another culture, you're tending to get along better and not to fight. And they said, because you got to understand, you got an investment over there. So they said that's what just more people that have been reading longer than me kind of made mention of, that was just kind of an alliance or something that they said, well, we got something, you got to be careful. That's the king's daughter over there. And so, but Solomon is not like his daddy. David was a fighter. And God said, the blood stops here. Solomon is not going to be a fighter because he's getting ready to show us how to use our intelligence, how to communicate. David said, I'm like the police. I got to get everything under control so you can get some intelligence. I got to make sure that I cut the stuff and it's like Jesus. Jesus said he didn't show up with a sword because Solomon was setting the tone that when Jesus come, if you think I came to shoot you, then I ain't finna shoot your enemy. I'm finna show you how to get along with him. I'm finna show you how to back off and when to back up and when to speak up. He said, now it's going to be a time you're going to use it, but it's not going to be what my father's intent is. My father's intent is to get you under control because he said that the Old Testament, we were students, children. So with children, you do spank them. You spank them. And if you don't spank them, you need to. And I don't have to spank all my children. You might not have to spank all of them, but every once in a while, one of them going to need it. Anyway, I don't write the word. I just read it. And I try my best to obey it. So with being children, there's a lot of correction. So up until David, God was using a lot of the rod, a lot of the wars, a lot of the get back, a lot of this. But with Solomon, he's by now I need y'all to have grown up enough where I can just kind of talk to you and get you to understand. I know you're going to do some foolish things like kids, and then I'm going to deal with you like a kid. But right now, I'm trying to show you that there's a level in me that's called, let us talk. Let's see if we can get along. Let's don't shoot each other today. Daddy did that. Daddy had to do that so that we can get a safe place to understand. We will shoot you now. But that's not God's whole. When I say shoot, I mean we might have to take you out of this earth. But he said that's not God's purpose. His purpose is to get you where you can sit down and have some sense. So David married this girl, and while he was in waiting, they lived in the city. He took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David, where David place was until how long? Until he made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the walls of Jerusalem round about. So he said, I got a lot of building to do. It's going to take a minute, and I'm a king, so you know it's going to be a few years if I get it done. You still want to marry? Yeah, I want to marry you. I want to marry you. Mm-hmm. David said, Solomon said, okay, let's do this. So all while everything is in building, he got a wife. She is an Egyptian. So we're going to watch Solomon. This is our first time, so let's flow with God. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built into the name of the Lord until those days. So when it says we talking about sacrifice, he got his wife, and then he came to the second verse. Only the people sacrificed. See, that was never God's will for them to do it like that. But watch God now. Watch God. They were making a sacrifice in high places because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord until those days. Until Solomon got through building, they went up into high elevated places, and that's where they did their sacrifices. That's because God had already planned that every so often they had to meet, and when they met, they brought their sacrifices. It's almost like where you all might have a convention, or what I grew up, what they call a convocation, where the people came together and celebrated. And God had a lot of parties going on, a lot of celebration, but they always had to go up to do it. But that was not God's will, a perfect will, but that's where it was, and God letting you know how it was. So check that. When he says only the people sacrifice in high places, that means that's not what I want. But you are growing. You are in a process of becoming. So I see what you're doing, but just please have on your agenda what I really want. All right. And Solomon loved the Lord. He loved the Lord. How do you love the Lord? How is it that you love the Lord? You've never seen him. If somebody said you love the Lord, tell me how. If I'm lost and I hear you say that, I want to know, what do you mean you love the Lord? How do you do that? Solomon loved the Lord because Solomon loved people. That's how you love God. You love God's instructions, and his instructions is all about how to communicate with people. So basically you're saying, I love to sit under and hear God to say how to treat you right. I love the way you structure things, the way you act, I love the fact that your enemy was cussing you out and you ain't saying nothing. I love that about you. I love that you don't call me and gossip on the phone about something that ain't about nothing, and we can't do nothing about it. People still dying every day and can't wear all them pretty clothes in the closet. When I say I love God, that means I love God ways. I like learning the inside and watching him talk and how he does things and how he come through when he see an enemy getting ready to attack you, tell him to back off. I love it. I like to see God make his move. Who wouldn't love God if we understood that's who God is? Just instructions in order how to open up a business and keep it so it's always flowing. And like God had given me this morning, I typed it. When you love God, you love instructions. And when you love instructions, you love people. And when you love people, you got good customer service. I don't care how good your cake cook. You got a bad attitude, it tastes just like your attitude. So God has said, Solomon is saying, I love the ways of God. Because it's impossible to love God without loving people. He said, how you going to love me? You ain't never seen me. And then you hate your brother that you look at every day. So that when we look at it like that, and Solomon loved God's people, walking in the statue of David. And Solomon loved God's people. Solomon loved the Lord. Why? Because he loved God's people. Walking in the statues, the word of God, of David, his father. He saw his daddy walking in areas that he liked the way his daddy made a move. And I know people are always, the first thing people say when you think about David is what he did wrong. God said, I ain't got to use David. What if I put your wrong upside the wall like I did David? David loved God. Solomon loved God. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statue of David, his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. So he said, that's a check. Brenda loves me. But she got to stop eating all them cupcakes. I'm just saying. She got to stop calling them customer service folk. And when they don't send her package right, and she just, I need to speak to your manager. She got to stop that. She got to see her slow down on that. She loved me, though. I'm telling the truth. And Solomon, I'll write a letter in a minute, but anyway. Well, you need to stop buying all that stuff. That's true, too. I don't buy as much as I used to. What am I wearing to? I ain't got nowhere to go. I don't play that. I try to stay in the house as much as I can. I go out when I have to, but I don't make it no habit. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David, his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. God said, I'm telling you the truth. He did this, but I'm working on that. We're working on that. Now, he building my house. They want me to have a house. The Lord said Solomon want me to have. I told David he couldn't build it. Solomon want me to have a place. I'm letting him do it. Go ahead, Solomon. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there. So Solomon went to this place right close to Jerusalem. It's like, I ain't going to sacrifice what God want me to, but I'm going real close to it. Well, this might be a problem. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for there was the great high place. God keep mentioning this place. He said, I'm telling you the truth. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. I studied that thing. I said, why in the world would you offer God 1,000 burnt offerings? Because the process of offering God an offering, you had to go search to make sure that bull, that goat, and that sheep. You weren't offering God no pig now. He ain't taking that. His bottom line, he ain't taking that. But you had to make sure that thing was not blind, not limping, not beat up. And he offered God 1,000. And this is letting you know that Solomon has stuff. Because a poor man might not have had either a goat, a bull, or a lamb. He might have had a pigeon. He might have had whatever they could afford. But if you had what Solomon had, that means that Solomon had some stuff. He had money. But when he burnt that thing, he was showing that no matter what I got, you can have it, God. I love you. I love you enough that if this is, I want you to know from my heart. I want my community to know that I love you. And when they put that burnt offering on there, that thing was to smoke all the way up. And I think the only thing that they cut off was the hide. But that whole thing was burned completely up. Solomon, it was Solomon. Our expression would be that if there's anything that I learn in your word and I find out that I need to give it to you, let's burn. Let's burn it. As I walk with the Father and I see some things that I didn't even know that I need to let him have, it's on fire. So Solomon had 1,000. That means he was carefully bringing God an offering, carefully selecting what should be turned into smoke so that God can get the incense of it. Now, there were some offerings, the way God did it was, they would take the offering. Now, some of these, and I think this one that Solomon had, everything was burned. But some of the offerings, God would let them take part of the meat and they fellowshiped and they ate. That's the fellowship offering. It's different offerings that we don't do these days, so it's not a whole lot. You can learn from them, but it's I don't want to go that deep into it. But anyway, Solomon took the time to be very careful because he knew how God wanted things. The only thing about it was he was not right where God wanted him to be. But let's watch God's behavior. He's young. He has the kingdom established. Like I'm not going to play no junk. But now he's getting ready to start doing something new for him. And let's see what God is saying. He said, but only he said, I'm dealing with him, but he just watch me. I'm dealing with Solomon. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for there was the great high place, 1,000 burnt offerings, and did Solomon offer upon the altar. So that means that he was not stingy. He was given to the Lord. He wasn't collecting from the people. Saying, y'all bring it to me and I got to go home. Me and all the foolishness that we do. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon. Where you going, Solomon? I'm going to Gibeon to burn my offerings for you. God said, I'll meet you over there. Well, in fact, I'll take you there. Okay, I'm going with you. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. God was watching Solomon. Young, did what his daddy said, not a stingy guy, loved me, demonstrated because he loved people. And God met Solomon at night in a dream. And God said, ask what I shall give you. What you want from me? I think Solomon was asleep, but at the same time, I think he was talking in his sleep because there's a conversation going on. And Solomon said, and what the word said, he's asleep now. The Bible said at night in a dream. In my understanding of dream, I ain't trying to make it deep. Sleep, talking. Sleep talking. And Solomon said, you have shown, and Solomon said, thou hast showed unto your servant David, my dad. I saw you do it. Great mercy. Great mercy. I know what my mama is. I ain't crazy. And you showed great mercy. According as he walked before you in truth. When you told the truth, you showed mercy. And in righteousness. My daddy was a straight up guy. He told the truth. And he did stuff in righteousness. He wasn't trying to take advantage of people. And in uprightness, he said, when I saw my dad and what you did for him, and you kept for him this great kindness. You promised him that I would sit where I am, knowing that my mom and daddy cheated, married my mom. I get it, God. That thou hast given him a son to sit at his throne. I'm the least likely person that the world would put on display to represent you, and my daddy's a king. He said, I saw you, Lord. He said, and now, O Lord, my God, you have made, now God asked one question. What shall I give you? And Solomon is pouring out his heart to God in this dream. And he said, and now, O Lord, my God, you have made your servant king instead of my daddy's David, my father David. David, my father. You allow me, but I am a little boy. I'm a little child. I'm a child, Lord. When I see all of this, I know daddy was doing some stuff, but now since I'm sitting up and daddy gone, I'm a child, Lord. This is deep. I know not how to go out or come in. I don't know what I'm doing. All I did, my daddy told me to do, and I established that. But now, when I look at I had no idea my daddy was over all of this. I had no idea. And me, your servant, is in the midst of people which you have chosen. You brought these people out. A whole lot of them are great people that cannot be numbered nor accounted for. It's so many people, Lord. How you watch over them. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge the people. God, just show me how to get along with them. Show me how to understand them. It's a lot of them. Oh God, give therefore me an understanding heart to judge your people, that I know good and bad. I know how to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Daddy, I know what daddy went through with the folk that I had to get rid of. But, ooh, Lord, when I look at all these folk, what human being is able to judge this, that great, so great? There's so many, Lord. And the speech pleased the Lord. He was talking. That's why I said he must have been sleep talking. And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. God said, my God, Jedediah, that means that I love you, boy. I love you, Solomon. And you talk like that. I can't help but boy. Oh. And God said unto him, and he gave Solomon how many verses Solomon had about? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And God said unto him, because you have asked this thing, and have not asked for yourself long life, you young too? Neither have you asked for riches for yourself? He said, I'm impressed with you. Nor for me to get rid of your enemies. I would have done all of that. I would have did whatever you asked. But you have asked for yourself understanding to discern judgment. You say you want to be able to look at things and do it right. You want to be able to understand a man when he talking out of both sides of his mouth. You want to understand that when somebody's not doing somebody right, that you know the right thing that should be done and how to settle the matter and keep both of them guys still friends. There's silence in the room, boy, when I look at you. You make me glad I'm God. Solomon, you made me smile. You ain't asking me for stuff before be big and all day long. Lord, I want me a husband. I want me. God said, I know how to get you. You ain't got to ask me. I know how to set it up. I'm good at it. I'm God. He said, behold, I have done according to your words. Oh, my God. He said, I heard your words and you can have it. I did according to your words. If you had asked me anything, I would have done it. It's your words. What are we asking God? How are we using our words? Since he told Solomon, he said, I ain't changed. So you don't want nothing according to your words, so be it. I'm God. I have given you a wise, he says, already done. I'm so ready to give you what you got. He said, I have given. That means it's done. I have given you a wise and an understanding heart. Wise means that you know what to do, and understanding means what it says. I understand what to do. I understand. In other words, I comprehend. I hear you talking, but I comprehend. Wise means I got the wisdom to know what to do, and understanding means I comprehend. When I hear that you got something, I can comprehend what you're saying. I don't care what language you said. I understand. What the words I understand. Could that mean that he can speak English? He understand. That's me talking. So that there was none like you before you. Ain't nobody ever been like you. Neither will there ever be anybody that will arise like unto you. You're going to be such an outstanding young man until people going to have to say, who is that? He said, your product, your logo. Everybody going to say, oh, that's one of Solomon's. He worked at Solomon's house. You know, they good. That's Solomon's. Y'all be quiet. Here come one of Solomon. Go look at Solomon people. Look how they act. He said, ain't nobody like you. You asked me to be God, and I like it. And I have also given you, I already did it. And I have also given you that which you have not asked. Got that for you too. Both riches and honor. Solomon had, the word says Solomon, well, let me say it because I'm carefully reading the word again. But if you can count the stars, or you can go outside and on a beach and count the sand, that's how much riches Solomon had. Let's just say Solomon was the richest human being that ever walked the face of the earth, materially being a human being. Nobody ever been known to be that rich. So that there shall not be any among kings like you. So, I'm reading it right. So that there shall not be any among the kings like unto you all your days. And he said, I'm just giving you that. That's just your tip. You took my order and you put the right mayonnaise on it, and I told you how much salt I wanted, and you did it just right. How much money? Can you count it? You don't have to. You'll never be broke. Now, I ain't done talking, Solomon ain't through yet. He said, I gave you that, and I gave you wisdom, and I gave you understanding. I gave you money. Ain't nobody else going to be like you. But however, and if you will walk in my ways, not for the stuff, I already gave you that. That's yours. I ain't taking it back. It's not hypothetical, a situation where I gave you that because you answered. I gave. I'm done with that. That's already given. I'm going to add this to it. And if you will walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David did walk, then I will lengthen your days. Money already yours. I just want to I want you to live a long time. And that comes with a different behavior. What you asked me gave you that stuff. You got to understand, stuff to me means nothing. I mean, it means not the way man does it. You have never lacked anything. He said, but however, don't get it twisted. Stuff in my ways. My ways give you long life. And when I say long life, I ain't talking about just living a long time and sick. I'm talking about long life. And if you will walk with me in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as your father David did walk, then I will I'll make you live a long time. I set it up like that for you. And Solomon woke up. And behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. First thing he did, the word said he woke up. Now watch Solomon now. And offered up burnt offerings. Went straight to Jerusalem. He didn't go to the high places. He went where it's supposed to be. God will work with us. And he came and met Solomon where he was. And then Solomon went to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. You get an encounter like that, I want to be in the presence of God. And he offered up burnt offerings and offered up peace offerings. All they were fellowshipping, they were having a good time, and made a feast to all his servants. They were dancing, eating. I'm going to wipe your mouth. You got some barbecue right there. Okay, thank you. Then came there 2 women. This is what I got. That were harlots, prostitutes, unto the king. And I like the fact that he was available. And he stood in the midst of the people. He wasn't standing around with people, just everybody looked like him. He was in the community. He was standing where the prostitutes felt like, I can talk to the king. He ain't had to have no appointment. The Bible didn't say nobody had to have an appointment. He said, then came there 2 women. They was out there having a feast. He just came out of the presence of God, made a peace offering, so people were eating and passing food and dancing and just having a good time. Just electric slide. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And one said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in the same house. In one house, we stay together. And I was delivered a child with her in the house. She saw me have that baby. I was delivered a child with her in the house that we both living in. I ain't lying to you, king. And it came to pass on the 3rd day after I delivered my baby. No, and it came to the pass the 3rd day after that I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. Both of them were pregnant. There was nobody in the house but us, me and her. And we were together. There was no stranger with us. We ain't had no men in the house at that time. No strangers. Because we prostitute. And we were there together. There was no stranger with us in the house except we 2 in the house. We don't own 2 people in the house. Excuse me, kid, I don't mean no harm. And this woman right here, I don't mean no harm, king. I don't mean no harm. And this woman, her baby died in the night. Calm down. Calm down. Go ahead, I'm listening. Because she overlaid it. I think she kind of heavy. She overlaid that baby and killed her baby. She killed her baby. I don't know if the lady was heavy or not, but anyway, she overlaid it. She laid on that baby and smothered that baby. And she arose at midnight. I know it was midnight. Because I know what time my baby, I know what, because you know I'm breastfeeding. I know how my breast get full. And she arose at midnight and took my son from beside me. That's my boy. Why your handmaid slept? I was real sleepy. I was tired. Because I had just got through nursing him. And I know my boy. I know what that, because he wake up so many. Anyway, the word didn't say that. While thy handmaid slept and lay him in her bosom, and lay her dead child in my bosom. They ain't out of my boy. Look at that boy's nose. It don't even look like my nose. And when I rose in the morning to feed my baby, get my baby suck, behold, it was dead. I don't mean no harm about the child, but the child was dead, Lord. I mean, Solomon. But when I had considered in the morning, I was trying to think. I was like, man, how my baby died? I was just like, okay, I'm trying to consider this. I'm trying to consider. I woke up and I said, no, baby, I'm trying to consider. I said, how my baby died? Behold, I looked at that boy. Boy, this ain't not my baby. It was not my son, which I did, man. That boy don't even look like me. Look at me. I'm light-skinned. That boy. ain't me, though. And the other woman said, no, nay, I object. But the living is my son. They're my son. And the dead is your son. And she said, no, but the dead is my son. And the living is your son. And the dead is your son, and the living is my son. You got my boy. You got my boy. Thus they spake before the king, back and forth. Then Solomon said to the king, Solomon said this. Now one says, this is my son that lives. One of y'all said this, you right. And that son is dead. That's the conversation, right? Your son is alive and your son is dead. Okay. Or I mean, well, a child is, okay. A child is dead and a child is alive. Okay. And the king said, bring, well, let me go back up here. Then said the king, the one said, this is my son that lives, and your son is the dead. Now you saying it's your son. That is my son, king. And you said, it's your son. Okay, so, all right, I get that. And other says, nay, but the son is dead, and my son is the living. Now I like that about Solomon because he was listening. Wise. He could have said, y'all get out of my face. I ain't got time for that. Or, I ain't getting in that kind of mess. He listened. You want to know how he listened? Because he repeated what they said. And he had asked God for that kind of understanding heart. And in order to understand, you got to listen. And the king said, I tell you what, bring me a sword. And if you stand up there, he said, bring what? And the girl stand up there to me. He said, get a sword. That's what he said. Or the girl was like, be quiet, shook him. Now they left the babysitter. That girl was sitting up there like, he said, bring a sword. That's what he said. And the king said, bring me a sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, talking to somebody that worked for him, take the living baby and divide it in two. And you gonna get part of it, and you gonna get part of it. Half to one and half to the other. Then spake the woman who, no! Don't kill my baby! No! Then spake the woman whose the living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearn. Oh no. Don't kill him. She can have it. You go, hell my son. Lord, give it to her. Just let her have it. Let her have a living child. In no way, baby. You know what, girl? Just had a boy. I can't handle it. But the other said, let it be neither mine or yours. Divide it. Then the king answered and said, get a living baby child and no wise slave. She is the mother You got custody. It's your child. And all Israel heard of the judgment. They already knew them prostitutes were fighting over there. But when Solomon judged that thing like that, the word got around. When the people of God start talking and the stuff that we saying makes sense, the word get around. God just stepped in and manifested what he had given Solomon. They wasn't used to that. Children, it was fighting so much until they were fighting over foolishness. And they finally heard a word from God. God said, I'm so ready for y'all to talk my language until I can get people to say, I heard about the judgment which the king had judged. Nothing in their brain could have been like, how did you see that? How did you get that? How did you... And they feared the king, establishing their kingdom more and more. You did what your daddy said, and now you got God backing you up. And they feared the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God, my God, and they saw that the wisdom of God. When that girl gave that and screamed, Jesus was saying, I saw what you were getting ready to step into, and I stepped in before you and said, I'll do it. I said, Father, don't kill him. Let me go in and I'll be the sacrifice. That woman said, take my baby. If you got to kill him, you can have him. God, it ain't even worth it. I don't even want to be no prostitute. Oh, Lord, help me. And she said, it ain't worth it. You can have him. And I'll watch you raise my son. Don't kill her, boy. And he said, you can have him. And the people said, the judgment and the wisdom of God. When we walk up right, we do people right, our customer service is right, it is the wisdom of God was in him to be king, to do judgment. That's chapter 3. Father, let us meditate on your word. Let us understand that every chapter tells a story. Let us not go in here and pull things out. Let you talk. It's your turn to be heard, God. It's your turn for us to hear, what are you? Why we don't have to make up nothing. The story is complete. The writer said, read what I said. And that's what we did today, God. And thank you for the people that showed up to hear your word, God. They don't want to hear me. I ain't about nothing. It's you they want to hear, Lord. And thank you that you visited us today and help us to carry your word, not just let us think about it. Let us meditate upon it. Let us be your customer service. Let us demonstrate the wisdom, the Jesus in us, who is the wisdom of God. In Jesus' name, I pray again. Amen. Father, y'all, I'll talk to y'all later. I'm going to get in chapter 4. Bye.